Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between two mountains, there lived an old woodcutter named Jiro. Jiro was poor, but he was known for his honesty and kindness. Every day, he would go into the forest to cut wood, and one day, while cutting wood near a river, his axe slipped from his hands. The axe fell into the river, sinking to the bottom. Jiro was devastated, for the axe was his only means of earning a living. He sat by the river, feeling helpless and praying for a miracle. Suddenly, the water in the river began to ripple, and a spirit of the river emerged. The spirit was a beautiful woman with long flowing hair and a gentle smile. "Why are you so sad, dear woodcutter?" the spirit asked kindly. Jiro explained how he had lost his only axe in the river. The spirit smiled and dove back into the water. When she emerged, she held a shining golden axe in her hands. "Is this your axe?" she asked Jiro. Jiro, being an honest man, shook his head and said, "No, that is not my axe." The spirit dove back into the water and reappeared with a silver axe. "Is this your axe?" she asked again. Once again, Jiro shook his head and said, "No, that is not my axe either." The spirit smiled even wider and dove back into the river one last time. This time, she emerged with Jiro's old, rusty iron axe. "Is this your axe?" she asked for the third time. Jiro nodded with relief and said, "Yes, that is my axe." The spirit was so pleased with Jiro's honesty that she gave him all three axes: the golden, the silver, and his old iron axe. "Because you were honest, I will reward you with these axes," the spirit said. Jiro thanked the spirit and returned home, happier than he had ever been. News of Jiro's good fortune spread quickly through the village. One of Jiro's neighbors, a greedy man named Taro, heard the story and decided to try his luck. Taro went to the same river and deliberately threw his axe into the water. He then sat by the river, pretending to cry and wait for the spirit to appear. Sure enough, the spirit emerged from the water, just as she had with Jiro. "Why are you sad?" she asked Taro. Taro, with fake tears in his eyes, told the spirit he had lost his axe. The spirit dove into the river and came back with a golden axe. "Is this your axe?" she asked. Without hesitation, Taro grinned and said, "Yes, that is my axe." But instead of rewarding him, the spirit frowned. "You are a liar," the spirit said sternly. The golden axe vanished from her hands, and she disappeared back into the river. Taro was left empty-handed and ashamed of his greed. He realized that dishonesty had brought him nothing but trouble. Meanwhile, Jiro continued to live a humble and happy life. With the golden axe, he was able to sell wood at a higher price. He used the money to help the poor in his village. The silver axe became a symbol of his honesty and kindness. He hung it in his home as a reminder of the day the spirit rewarded him. Jiro's life was filled with joy and contentment. Tourists from nearby towns began to visit Jiro's village to hear his story. They marveled at the golden and silver axes. Jiro welcomed them all with a warm smile and shared his tale. His humble home became a place of inspiration for many. The tourists learned that honesty and kindness bring true wealth. Jiro's story spread far and wide, and soon, people from distant lands came to visit. They came not just to see the axes, but to meet the man who had a golden heart. Jiro always reminded his visitors that the real treasure was not the axes. The true treasure is a heart full of honesty and compassion, he would say. As time passed, Jiro's village became a famous tourist destination. The villagers built a small inn to accommodate the growing number of visitors. They named the inn the Honest Woodcutter's Lodge in honor of Jiro. The inn was decorated with images of the golden and silver axes. Every room had a small wooden plaque with Jiro's favorite saying, "Honesty is the best policy," the plaque read. The inn's guests were always treated with kindness and respect. The villagers followed Jiro's example and lived honest, happy lives. The village became known as the Village of Honesty. People from all over the world came to learn the secrets of Jiro's happiness. They left the village with hearts full of inspiration and hope. Jiro, now an old man, was content knowing he had made a difference. He spent his days sitting by the river, enjoying the beauty of nature. The spirit of the river often visited him, bringing gifts of flowers and fruit. They would sit together in silence, appreciating the peace they had created. Jiro's golden and silver axes hung in his home, untouched and untarnished. They were a reminder of the day he chose honesty over greed. And though the axes were valuable, they were nothing compared to the wealth of Jiro's heart. The villagers often asked Jiro if he ever regretted giving away his wealth to others. Jiro would laugh and say, "The more you give, the richer you become." His laughter was contagious, and soon the entire village would be filled with joy. The tourists loved visiting during these moments, as Jiro's laughter brought them happiness. Some tourists tried to offer Jiro money for the golden or silver axe. But Jiro always refused, saying, "These are not for sale, they belong to all who are honest." The story of Jiro, the golden axe, and the silver axe became a legend. It was passed down from generation to generation, inspiring countless people. Even after Jiro passed away, his legacy lived on in the hearts of the villagers. The village continued to thrive as a beacon of honesty and kindness. The Village of Honesty became a symbol of hope in a world often driven by greed. Visitors still come to see the golden and silver axes, but they leave with something much more valuable: the lesson of Jiro's life. The spirit of the river still watches over the village, ensuring its prosperity. And every so often, a new honest soul is rewarded with a golden or silver axe. The legend continues to grow, with new chapters being written every day. But the core message remains the same: honesty and kindness are the greatest treasures. Jiro's name is remembered with love and respect. His story is told around campfires, in schools, and in homes around the world. It is a story that brings people together, reminding them of the importance of truth. The villagers celebrate Jiro's memory with an annual festival. The festival is filled with laughter, music, and the sharing of stories. The golden and silver axes are brought out for everyone to see. But the real highlight of the festival is the telling of Jiro's tale. It is a story that never grows old, no matter how many times it is told. And as the sun sets over the Village of Honesty, the spirit of Jiro lives on. His legacy is a shining example of what it means to live a life of integrity. And so, the story of the golden stick, the silver stick, and the honest woodcutter continues to inspire the world.